we just watch before?
Um,
We watched like an online TV show. Yeah?
Asian Boss.
Asian Boss, it's the name, and it's about.
And it's perspectives, actual perspectives of people in different countries within Asia.
In China, huh? That was China.
That was Korea. First one was China.
Yeah, let's talk about the China one only now. Yeah?
Yeah.
And why did we find it? We found it because I said, hey, did you ever hear about this? What they're doing in China now? They are installing this kind of Orwell's control system for everyone. And everyone has to install that on his phone or something. It's mandatory.
Social credit system.
A social credit system, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone gets rated there.
Based on their activities, their ability to pay their bills on time, to the types of transactions they make, but even to the extent of what their preferences are. Like the example that the guy used about whether or not, like if you buy junk food all day.
Hectic. That's exactly the opposite of, for example, here in Europe, the left and the green and the Social Democrats would go, huh? Because they say less control about that. It's not the government should not be possible, one should not be able to control us. Because they could use it in a wrong way.
But they shouldn't be able to punish us for things that we do that aren't against the law. I mean, these are not breaking laws. These are just doing things that are kind of shit. Like, I have library books that I don't take back for 2 months. You know, and then I'd get a bad social credit rating.
And then you might
and this might influence whether or not I can get a loan to buy a car or whatever you might want to buy.
So everyone should behave a bit better, more or less. That's the point of it.
It's a strong.
It's really a strong
encouragement to.
a strong tool to make the people not.
To not be a shit person.
Rip off other people and stuff.
Yeah, rip off. I mean, of course. I mean, I wonder how far it will go, because could it also be you have a business, and then the business, you know, you have this rating schemes and stuff for a business, right? 5-star or something like that, or okay, no, the person didn't do a good job repairing my bike. And so you give them a bad rating, and then what if it's just a one-person business? Do they then get a bad social credit rating themselves? So, I mean, what I mean by, I think what you said, not ripping people off, would be one of the positive advantages, one of the advantages of a system like this.
But what is the negative thing?
But how could they determine if someone's ripping someone off? How could they determine?
I mean, there are rules.
If I rip someone off.
Yeah, but there are defined rules that this system.
But then why not just make laws?
Yeah, but the law cannot be executed as good as that as in this system.
These are soft laws. This is beyond law, though.
No, I don't think so. I mean, they have to quantify it as well, and they have to make it measurable. And if you can measure it, it's not a soft law anymore, because then they can say, hey, 5 stars here.
No, it's a soft law when it's not known, like you can't, not speeding, not murdering people, not like these are laws. These are hard laws. And then you have something like you buy unhealthy food.
Yeah, they have that.
That's not a law.
No, but it's.
And no one would actually, under no other circumstances.
But why is it not a law? Here, why do we not have in the Constitution?
Because there's a certain level of freedom that people have to be able to buy whatever they want or eat however they want.
So we have in Europe, for example, and in Australia, the freedom that we toxicate ourselves with bad food, and then be a burden to society because of that, because that's what it's doing, and it will not have any impact. And over there it would have an impact, or it would even be avoided.
If you assume, that's assuming that the rules, that the parameters of what is good and bad is set up based on purely health, right? What if you take the junk food example and say instead, what if it is not this certain brand, like a China-made brand. Then if you buy things not from China, then you're a bad person. You know, so what will the parameters be?
Yeah, but that's exactly the questions. First of all, what will the parameters be? And secondly, who is deciding what the parameters are? Because if it is democratically decided,
in China it'll be decided by the government.
Who is how many people? 1,200 people or something?
Representing over 1 billion. I mean, how can you like that's nothing. That's so unrepresentative.
It's just 10 times as big as the European Commission. No, how many people are in the European Commission? I don't know, but a few hundred. And I mean,
I don't know. And I also don't know how many within the system of the EU actually have a decision-making influence either.
But I seriously don't have to say when I'm seeing that, and that should be checked out on the internet. Everyone should check that out. This is a really good, interesting channel to see that. I'm not 100% decided if this is good now or this is bad, because I see benefits as well when you run around, and you know, you can just, if something is happening, you can just immediately address people and stuff. I think this is that might have a good impact on how people treat each other as well. And I think that is, I mean, I think China is, compared with the Western world, more sophisticated anyway, how they treat each other and the manners. I mean, Japan much more, of course, but China as well, compared. I think so. I mean, that's at least what I think. But I'm not 100% decided. On the one side it's good, on the other side, look, a really bad example in the close middle past is the German, East Germany was communistic as well, and they had the Stasi, this secret service that was spying on everyone who was working against, or who was doing something bad for the collective. And it's about that. It's about, I think the rules will be set up according to what is good for the collective and what not.
Yeah, and that's why I don't think that this is, I think this is a dangerous tool, whether or not it's a potentially dangerous tool, because it could be that if I don't support the government's views on things, or I'm critical of the government, so I say something publicly that's critical, that I end up with a bad social credit score. And maybe in real terms that's not bad.
But that's the question.
That's being honest, that's speaking your mind, are these values that a whole country doesn't want. And this somehow takes away the ability to use your own judgment. It will definitely take away people's people putting in so much effort to make their own judgment about someone, because they will, as long as their score reflects what they believe they are, and the people in immediate contact with them, then it validates the system, and they will trust in it and believe in it when they're looking at the values and scores of other people, rather than allowing for this sort of gut feeling of, I have a nice connection with you, oh, but you've got a score of 2 out of 5. So actually now I'm really skeptical of you, but beforehand, you know, so it kind of goes, it might go against your natural instincts, and it may also mean that you don't use it as often.
But on the other side, I think also the natural instincts will often kind of, you know, correct the figure that you have from the person a bit. I think it goes in both directions, but what you said is right. We saw that in the video before as well, that they said that even when a friend of you has a bad rating or something, it will also reflect on you with some algorithm.
Pull your score down. Yeah, but I'm actually more worried about, you know, there's this whole issue that arose, or there's this issue with...
Won't that make pattern in the society when it is like that? Because then people in the same level, so let's see, there are 20 levels in something, and only all that are between 5 and 10 will gather, because
everyone wants to hang out with people with a higher rating than them, because it pulls them up.
It pulls them up.
But no one with a high rating wants to hang out with someone with a low rating.
No one said that it's pulled. I think it's only pulling down. It's not pulling up. I think it's only pulling down. Therefore,
so you ostracize people with a bad rating.
Absolutely.
So criminals or people who do bad things, and you end up creating gangs of 1 stars, 2 stars.
Absolutely, I think it will make a lot
I'm a
of
1
sense.
star. Just imagine. But this. So that's one thing that I thought of when I was watching the video that popped up in my mind. Like, so you end up with segments of the population who are hanging out with their own star rating kind, which is really a bizarre concept.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or does it just represent what happens now anyway?
Yeah, because it's like that. No, but I don't agree.
Is it like a new class system?
I mean, the thing that education level determines your earnings, this dream is already over. Huh? We already see that. Everyone sees that. That for example, when you're working when you are plumber now, you might earn more than when you are some tutor on a university or something.
But I'm not talking about correlation between two things, but rather, will it create a new class system? So people
Behavior.
are valued with 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, and then this somehow redefines a new way of valuing people, not necessarily education and income, because in the past it has been about the type of work that you do and the kind of education that you have, and this leads to how much you earn. But now this could transcend that, because you could be a high-earning, well-educated asshole.
Doesn't sound bad as well, but
right?
I think
who never pays his bills on time and who just doesn't give a shit, just like fuck it, whatever, and buys all kinds of bad stuff and prostitutes and all sorts of things that pulls their score down.
What is kind of good,
But they're typically in a income level where they wouldn't be hanging out with people who are, 1 star.
Good. Where were we?
So if you create this system now where you, instead of having, in the past there were things like class structures, and this was generally divided upon income level.
Or wealth of families and
stuff. Wealth, yeah.
What they owned.
Wealth. And so this was something that was, I don't know how one-dimensional you can say it is, because presumably it's formed of multiple factors, but it's a bit one-dimensional. Now you have this concept of a social credit, which basically rates you on a multitude of factors.
And you decide the factors yourself. You can, as a society, you can say, I have my representatives and they are speaking for me, and they are making factors now up that are important for how we live together. These factors we measure, and they are determining how we categorize each other. That's what they're basically doing.
Yeah.
And according to these factors, it will lead to that. And this rule, but I think the significant rule here is the rule that that you pull someone else down. This is really dangerous, I think, when they introduce this, because it will lead to separation.
Yeah, and so this will generate a new form of class structure.
It will.
And this is then about which star number are you, a 1 star, a 2 star, or whatever. But I wonder if this has the potential to be more fair than now, because depending on the factors, right, you might end up with a situation of, are you genuinely a good person? Are you good? Are you nice? Are you reliable? Do you help people when they need help? How far will this thing go? Because right now you are seeing there is still a level, a strong
random
tendency
level
for income to determine your potential, your possibilities.
Or even worse,
this was exclusive of your income level, then it really becomes more about other social, what I would say is more socially important factors. If it is really a social credit system. So not, there's finance checks that you can do, make sure people are earning over a certain amount before you rent your apartment to them. But whether you do business with someone or not, or hang out with them, should really rather be based more on these softer moral questions, which this has the potential to do. So people who earn barely anything or are homeless
can still
have a
rise
high,
high.
can still have a high rating
Yeah.
and therefore be given a better prospect in social
But is it
terms.
like that as well? I'm a bit skeptical about that if they measure the right thing.
I'm pretty sure they measure income and rate it really highly.
Absolutely. And what's happening with on the other side? I mean, the most wealth, the most class determining factor in our society is what we are getting from our parents. Who is our parents? Who are our parents? Do they have a lot of money or not? That what determines in which class we will be in our life, most likely. So
Yeah, it can.
that's even more
Yeah.
random, you know. It's more random how
Yeah.
it is here than it will be there, because there it means you can really do the thing like the American dream, like they talked back then. Then from the dishwasher you can become a billionaire. Maybe not a billionaire over there. Yeah, the Alibaba guy is a billionaire, who has his fingers in this game as well. Is what they said in the.
They already have a social credit system.
They already have that. Probably he's pushing this this ball anyway. But yeah.
Elon Musk became a billionaire
Yeah.
in the US.
In the US, yeah. Yeah, in the US you can become one too. In Europe harder. In Europe,
In Europe,
harder.
you need it. It's really more about your.
Where you're
'cause
coming
paying
from.
40%, 45% taxes.
Yeah. In Africa not. I mean, if you're a politician, probably are. But we don't know too much
Fair
about
enough.
that. Okay.